Okay, so if you're in education, maybe corporate training, you know the story. The biggest hurdle for adopting, well, any cool new tech, AI, metaverse, VR, you know, it's always the content, right?
Always.
You've got decades of curriculum just locked away in these, dense traditional files, PDFs, Word docs, PowerPoints, stacks of them. And the idea of manually turning all that legacy material into something like engaging and immersive and XR, it just feels like a mountain to climb.
It is a mountain.
Hmm.
Institutions, they want that virtual presence,
Mm.
but the costs, the sheer time involved, it's been a massive bottleneck.
So today we're doing a deep dive. We're looking at EON Reality's new thing, the Virtual Campus Custom Builder. It basically claims to, well, completely shortcut that whole painful process.
Right.
Our mission here is pretty simple. Let's quickly get our heads around how this platform supposedly takes those barriers, time, cost, complexity, and just, tosses them out.
And it's crucial to frame why this is such a big deal. For years, launching a decent virtual campus, that was purely about how deep your pockets were.
Right.
Our sources confirm this. This really created an accessibility inequality. You're looking at, what, 6 to 12 months minimum?
Yeah, easily.
Costs soaring past $500,000, often way more. And the whole thing just got bogged down, manually converting content, trying to keep the branding consistent across everything.
Nightmare.
Yeah, so if you didn't have those massive resources, you just weren't playing in that digital space, period.
And that timeline, that 6 months to a year, that's the real innovation killer, isn't it? Waiting that long just for a pilot, inertia just takes over.
Absolutely.
But this is where the contrast is just stark. This new system, using intelligent automation, it cuts that deployment time down. Not months, but potentially hours, or maybe a couple of days.
That's the claim. Hours or days.
That's the difference between, like, a huge capital project and just running a software update. It's a completely different scale.
It really is. And it's positioned as the answer to what we've been calling the time-to-market crisis. Look at the numbers side by side.
Yeah.
Traditional path, $500,000 to maybe $2 million. You need a whole dedicated team, devs, designers, QA specialists.
The works.
The works. The custom builder, though, hours to days, and the technical skill needed. They call it single command execution. Seriously, it's designed so you don't need any coding background. You feed it files, you don't write code.
Okay, so let's make this practical. I'm running an institution. I'm drowning in digital files, old syllabi, research papers, compliance docs, you name it. What's the immediate relief this platform offers me? Sounds like it hits that content conversion bottleneck head on.
Exactly. That's the starting point. It supports a universal parser. It doesn't care if it's .docx, .pdf, .pptx, or even just plain .txt files.
It just digests it all.
Digests it all. It's not focused on the file type. It's looking for the knowledge within those files. It intelligently ingests the material, often in batches, and starts putting it into an organized structure.
Okay, but before we get into that structure, branding. That's huge for institutions. Logos, colors, the official voice. If this is all automated, how do you stop the virtual campus looking like some kind of, mismatched digital Frankenstein?
That's a really good question, and they tackle it right at the start. It's actually phase 1 of their AI process, intelligent branding extraction.
Okay.
The system actively scrapes for the brand elements. It performs automated institutional brand scraping thing, pulling logos, the exact hex codes for colors, even analyzing the linguistic tone from official sources like the website.
Huh. So it learns the brand style.
It learns it, and then it strictly enforces that style across every single asset it generates. The sources talk about achieving 0 silent failures. Basically, no brand drift, guaranteed compliance, all without someone having to manually check everything.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, let's get into the mechanics then. How does it take that pile of, let's be honest, probably messy old documents already branded and turn it into a functioning virtual university map? This is the 6-phase AI pipeline, right?
Yep, this is where the core transformation happens. Once the branding is locked down, it gets to work on the actual content. Phase 2 is multi-format content ingestion.
Right.
It takes all those different file types and normalizes them into a single unified structure. The technical term they use is semantic blocks.
Whoa, hang on. Semantic blocks. Let's unpack that a bit for folks maybe not deep into data architecture. Does that just mean it, organizes bullet points nicely?
It's smarter than that. Think about how you read a document. You instinctively know the difference between a chapter title, a footnote, a definition, right? Regardless whether it's PDF or Word.
Okay, yeah.
Semantic blocking means the AI understands that inherent structure, the hierarchy, and context. It figures out, okay, these 5 paragraphs, they belong under this specific heading, and that heading belongs in this chapter. It preserves that whole document structure during the extraction process.
Ah, so the blueprint it builds isn't just a flat text dump. It keeps the relationships between ideas.
Exactly. It keeps the hierarchy intact.
Yeah.
So the curriculum map it generates actually makes sense.
Okay, structure preserved. That's step 1. Step 2, well, reality check. Shared drives. If I feed this thing an entire department's folder, I guarantee I'm giving it the same syllabus from 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. So phase 3 must be about that. Intelligent deduplication and program mapping.
And this is a huge time saver. The system is smart about finding true duplicates, but here's the really clever part. It preserves important variations, especially with dates.
How so?
Well, think about a medical course or, say, compliance training. The core might be the same, but the regulations change slightly each year, right?
Sure, annual updates.
The AI is smart enough to recognize that the 2024 nursing compliance syllabus is meant to replace the 2023 version for the active program. But it also knows to keep maybe all 5 historical versions available, perhaps for reference or archival purposes. It doesn't just blindly delete older files.
Okay, that's pretty nuanced. So what's the output after it sorts all this out?
It actually infers the entire course structure, looks at file patterns, naming conventions, the semantic structure we talked about, and from that, it generates a complete hierarchical curriculum blueprint. Think of it as the master index for the whole virtual campus.
And that becomes...
That gets saved as a finalized course map. Technically, it's documented in a program.yaml file. So you go from this chaotic folder of maybe hundreds of files to an organized academic structure that defines the virtual campus layout almost instantly.
Right, okay. Now this next bit, phase 4, multi-format content generation. This feels like where it really pivots towards future learning experiences. It's not just building the map, it's putting intelligence inside the map.
Precisely. It goes beyond just creating the 3D spaces or the campus layout. The system generates specific, per-course, Train AI documents.
Train AI docs, what are those for?
This content is specifically formatted to feed directly into the knowledge bases of the XR avatars. You know, the AI mentors or guides that students might interact with inside the virtual lab or classroom. So if a student asks the virtual chemistry tutor a question about, say, the final exam requirements for Organic Chemistry 101, that AI tutor has been trained only on the current correct content for that specific course thanks to this phase. Its knowledge is curated and accurate.
That's critical, especially for enterprise users, big universities, validation, compliance, accessibility. These aren't optional. You can't just generate content and hope it's okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that leads directly into phase 5, enterprise-grade validation and reporting. This isn't just a black box. It includes a unified logging system, tracks issues by severity, and outputs clean reports for stakeholders.
And accessibility, that's a huge requirement now.
Addressed directly. It includes automated HTML accessibility audits. It checks against WCAG standards, that's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The point is to embed accessibility right into the generated code from the start, making sure it's usable for people with disabilities, not something you have to bolt on later.
Okay, and the final phase, phase 6, extensibility. This sounds like where the human educator gets back in the driver's seat, influencing the how of the teaching.
Exactly. This is about tailoring the environment. Users can apply these predefined subject-specific pedagogical profiles.
Like templates.
Sort of, but focused on teaching style. If you're building a science course, you might apply the lab-heavy profile. That tells the system to prioritize interactive spatial elements, virtual labs, things like that.
Versus maybe a philosophy course.
Right. For that, you might use the discussion-based profile, which might emphasize collaborative spaces or tools for debate. And for bigger organizations, think university networks, they also have swappable theming packs.
Oh, so you can reskin it quickly.
Instantly. Update branding for the whole network, apply seasonal themes, whatever, without having to regenerate the entire campus structure from scratch.
Flexibility. Okay, the tech sounds impressive, but we need proof. Concrete applications. Theory is one thing, but seeing this tackle real-world scale, that's what convinces people. Let's look at that community college system use case. A 90-day deadline. Why so tight?
Often, deadlines like that are tied directly to urgent workforce needs. In this case, a 23-campus community college system, they needed to launch virtual nursing programs across all their locations within 90 days. Why? To meet critical local healthcare shortages.
Wow, 23 campuses in 90 days? That's ambitious.
Traditionally, Impossible. Coordinating 23 separate custom builds, even using the same core curriculum, forget about it in that time frame.
So how did the automated builder handle it?
They did a single bulk ingestion, fed it over 450 documents, the entire unified nursing curriculum just once.
Okay.
The system then automatically generated 23 distinct, individually branded virtual campuses, all with the identical nursing program structure. And they applied that lab-heavy profile we mentioned, making sure the virtual spaces were optimized for hands-on nursing practice.
In the timeline.
The whole process, start to finish.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
For 23 campuses.
Yep. That worked out to an 80% reduction in time compared to traditional methods, and they estimated saving 95% on the custom development costs.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Faculty could immediately focus on how to teach in the new environment, not on building the environment itself.
Okay, let's switch gears. Different challenge. Standardization versus identity. The Global University Network example. You have a consortium, 15 different institutions wanting one unified MBA program. But each wants to keep its own look and feel. How do you manage that? Keep the curriculum identical, but make the virtual environments unique.
This is where that phase 1 brand scraping really shines.
Yeah.
Each of the 15 institutions ran the scraper tool. Apparently it's quick, like a 30-minute task for each.
Okay.
They then uploaded the identical core MBA curriculum files just once. The system took that single curriculum and applied the 15 different pre-scraped brand profiles.
And generated
15 distinct, individually branded virtual campuses simultaneously. So you get unified academic standards enforced perfectly across the whole network, but each of the 15 universities maintains its unique institutional identity. And this generation part, apparently it took minutes, not months.
that speed.
Mm-hmm.
It also seems like it could unlock much faster iteration, especially in corporate training. They often struggle to pilot things quickly, right? Lots of upfront investment risk.
Definitely. Look at the Fortune 500 corporate training use case. They needed to test virtual training concepts for 3 really different divisions, R&D, sales, and compliance, before committing to a massive, multi-million-dollar full deployment.
So how did they use the builder?
They ingested the existing training materials for each division. The system generated 3 separate virtual campuses, all correctly branded for the corporation, in basically a single workday.
Okay, fast setup. But the key is the testing, right?
Exactly. The crucial part was they could immediately start A/B testing different pedagogical approaches. Maybe they used the lab-heavy profile for the R&D folks and the discussion-heavy profile for the sales team. They could run these pilots concurrently, gather data, all within about 3 weeks.
Which means they could figure out what actually works before spending the big bucks.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It dramatically reduces the risk, the sunk costs. They can pivot based on real pilot data, not just assumptions, before they go all in on a full deployment.
And one last scenario, maybe the most urgent, institutional resilience. The K-12 district example. This deals with disaster preparedness, right? Like a sudden facility closure forcing everyone online immediately.
Yeah, this is all about speed and scale under extreme pressure. Imagine a natural disaster closes school buildings. The system allows that district to take materials from, say, 120 different teachers, all their varied PowerPoints, worksheets, whatever.
Yeah, the usual mix.
And transition all of that into personalized virtual classrooms within a single day. The IT team does the bulk upload, the system processes it in hours, potentially by the next morning. Every student and teacher has their own personalized, branded, accessible virtual space ready for live instruction.
Same-day activation for an entire district's virtual learning environment. That's pretty incredible contingency planning.
It shifts the realm of possibility for crisis response.
Okay, so we've really drilled down into the speed, the efficiency, the compliance angle, but let's zoom out. What does this kind of democratization mean on a global scale?
I think this is potentially the most profound impact. Think about it. For years, only the big, well-funded flagship universities could afford the hefty price tag and technical teams needed for high-quality virtual campuses.
Right, that accessibility inequality again.
Exactly. By essentially eliminating those huge financial and technical barriers, this platform starts to level the playing field. It directly addresses that educational inequality. Suddenly, institutions in emerging markets, smaller colleges, places with limited IT budgets, they can deploy genuinely world-class virtual campuses.
So it helps them compete digitally without needing that massive upfront investment.
Precisely. It empowers global knowledge transfer in a way that just wasn't feasible before for many institutions.
And none of this works in a vacuum, right? For this system to be useful, it has to plug into the wider XR ecosystem. How did that integration work?
Oh, it's fundamental. It's not designed to be an isolated tool. Remember those Train AI documents we talked about? for the virtual mentors.
Yeah, the knowledge bases for the avatars.
The system generates JSON feeds from those documents that plug directly into the persistent AI avatar knowledge bases, like EON's Brainy AI. So the digital staff, the AI tutors, they're instantly knowledgeable and effective from day one.
And compatibility with headsets and platforms.
That's built in too. They talk about EON universal compatibility. The generated campuses are designed to deploy across all the major XR platforms, MetaQuest, HTC Vive, HoloLens, Magic Leap, you name it.
So institutions aren't locked into one hardware type.
Correct. And there's more. They have built-in tool card integrations. These can link users directly to things like the EON Marketplace, which has, over 42 million user-generated assets. So you can easily pull in specialized training content if needed.
It really sounds like the underlying design philosophy here is about putting the educational goals first, making sure the tech serves the mission, not the other way around.
That's exactly the message. The whole thing is built as a modular command line pipeline. That choice is deliberate, it ensures transparency, it allows for automation, it meets enterprise compliance needs, but the core idea, the stated goal, is to ensure that the institutional mission, not technical capability, determines the quality of virtual learning experiences.
They're essentially saying, we've removed the tech headache, now you educators focus on the teaching.
That's the essence of it, freeing up educators to actually design the learning, not wrestle with the platform build.
That is a really powerful takeaway. So wrapping this deep dive up, we've seen how AI has really shifted the landscape here. It's taken virtual campus creation from this long, expensive, bespoke development cycle.
Off of the year or more.
Down to potentially an hours-long, automated, compliant, and importantly, scalable process.
Which really leads us, and you listening, with a final kind of provocative thought to chew on. If that technical barrier is genuinely gone, if content conversion becomes automated, almost instantaneous, what does all this exponential efficiency, this massive cost reduction, what does it mean for the actual future role of the humans in the loop?
You mean faculty, instructional designers, content specialists?
Yeah, everyone involved in shaping the learning. If their time is freed up from the technical build, what does that mean for defining the pedagogical vision inside these new virtual spaces? What new frontiers of teaching, what new ways of interacting and learning become possible when the technology just works right out of the box, when the only question left is not how to build it, but how best to teach with it?